Hello, my name is Miss Sasha. I'm a teaching artist in the PACE program with the Lafayette Parish school system in Lafayette, Louisiana. Today, we are going to be drawing a bird's eye view alligator in his natural habitat. The only supplies you'll need is a piece of white paper, an assortment of crayons, including one green and one brown. Now is a good time to pause your video in order to collect your supplies. All you need to do is press play when you return. Now that we have our supplies, I think we're all set to create our bird's eye view alligator in his natural habitat. So, what is a bird's eye view? A bird's eye view is what a bird might see from above while flying through the sky. So a bird might see the top of a building, the top of a house, the top of a bush, or in our case, the top of the alligator, which is why you can see only the top of his head, his body, and his tail. The other portions of his body are under the water because he's swimming. So he's also swimming in his natural habitat. What is a habitat? Well, a habitat is a natural home or environment of plants or animals. So our alligator's natural habitat today will be in a swamp. Now do know that alligators live in other places such as streams and rivers and marshes, wherever there's a lot of water. Their bodies were made to be swimming in the water. So you may find them in other places too, but mostly in water. So our swamp scene is going to have an alligator and some other native plants in our picture. So let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and grab your paper. And I went ahead and folded my paper in half this way, opened it up, and then folded it again this way. That way we have our center. See? Center. I went ahead and taped one to the wall right here. So with our brown crayon, in the very middle of our paper, we're going to draw a nice sized oval. That's going to be for the alligator's body. Watch. See? Now look, if you don't think it's big enough, go ahead and make it bigger. We're not going to worry about too much erasing today because we're using crayons and we're not really looking for anything perfect, right? So here's our alligator's body. Let's go ahead and do his head. I'm going to have mine swim up opposite from this one. So his head, we're going to work in this little square over here. His head, we can start with like a little bit of a curved line. And we can make two diagonal lines, just like that. You got it? All right, and we'll go ahead and make the end of his nose. See, it almost takes up the whole space over here. Okay? And let's go ahead and do his tail. I'm going to do my tail over here. And again, he's going to take up a good bit of this space. Okay? So I'm going to do another curved line similar to the other side. Got it? Perfect. Now I'm just going to kind of curve down and make like a little bit of a point. And if it's not perfect, look, I'm going to round the edge off and just kind of keep drawing it. And even if your head isn't big enough, you want it to be a little bit longer, then just make it a little bit longer. It's not a problem. Again, we're going to be coloring in our alligator. So the main thing is that we're just filling these spaces, right? Go ahead and check yourself. All right. Perfect. We're going to do a lot of work with our brown crayon. So let's go ahead and continue on with our brown crayon. Let's make some eyes, watch. Just two curved lines like this. And you could put a little eyeball in there. We'll go back and add something a little bit fancier later. There we go. And his nostrils, they're down here at the end. We'll add the teeth later, okay? Speaking of teeth, do you know how many teeth an alligator has? They have between 74 and 80 teeth, whereas humans have about 32. And when their teeth fall out, they regrow them. So in their lifetime, which they live for about 35 to 50 years, they might go through 2,000 teeth. That's a lot of teeth. So anyway, we'll do that later. Okay, let's go ahead and add some texture to our alligator. Do you know what texture is? Well, texture is the way something feels. So if you were to feel your shirt in comparison to maybe this piece of paper, they might feel different, right? One might seem soft and smooth, and one might seem rough and bumpy, you know. So you might find that your hair is silky, whereas the wall might be hard. So it's really just the way something feels. And so the way we show how something feels on an art piece is that we have to do it with lines or shapes. So on our alligator's body, we're going to add texture by adding some lines. Watch. Watch. Like that for his back. You got it? And then we'll go ahead and do some on his tail. Like that. It's kind of showing that he has scaly skin because he's a reptile, and reptiles have scaly skin. And you can even put some on his head, watch, like this, or even on his snout, right? Perfect. You guys got it? Everybody okay? Great. Great. How's everybody doing? Let's continue on with our brown. Here's my brown. All right, we're going to go ahead and add some bushes and shrubs to our swamp. A swamp is a very dense, lush area. A lot of water, but a lot of shrubbery and trees and very woody vegetation. So let's go ahead and add a little bit more with the brown. Here we go. All right, remember too that you can add as little or as much of this as you like. I'll go ahead and get mine done. I'll give you some time to do yours as well. So in the corners over here, we might do some zigzags, some curved lines. Not in the middle. We'll save that for some other things like lily pads, okay? So we've got bumps, 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 maybe some zigzags in the corners, bumps and zigzags, anything, just like that. So you see? I kind of filled in my edges. The edges are the sides of the paper right here. So I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of time to fill that in. And while you're filling that in, I'll just talk a little bit about alligators, right? They live in a freshwater environment. So, you know, ponds, marshes, wetlands, again, covered in water. Like I said before, their bodies were just made for swimming. So they're also the largest reptile in North America, and they've been around for millions of years. So they're kind of dinosaur looking, right? With their hard, scaly skin. They never look like they're smiling or anything. They're not, you can't tell if an alligator's happy. So anyway, they're just really big. The other thing is that they grow to be 10 to 15 feet long. That's big. They're fast, so don't think you can outrun an alligator. I mean, they are really, really fast, and sometimes they crawl on their tummies, and sometimes they stand up on their legs, and they get to moving pretty quick. They also live for about 35 to 50 years, so they're gonna be around for a while. So you got your brown? Perfect. Let's go ahead and get our blue. We're going to make some lily pads in our swamp. Lily pads are like floating flowers. They have long stems that attach to the bottom of the swamp. Lily pads are where you might find like a little frog sunbathing or something like that. So they're easy to draw. They are oval or round, and we'll add a little bit of texture on them to show that they have that they're not just flat. Okay. So, and I know they're generally green, but we're going to do blue, and then we're going to go back and color in with our green. So bear with me, okay? So some of them are oval. Again, they like to cluster together. So maybe you have a round one. Maybe you have a little one. They like to cluster together. Some of them even have like the letter V in them, okay? And to make them look like they have texture, we're going to go ahead and put some little lines in them. So these, I'll just put some little blue lines like this. See? And the round ones, I might put a polka dot in the middle. And then from there, kind of draw some lines. They almost look like little beach balls, huh? So, like this. Like this. Maybe I'll draw one over here. Again, you can draw as many as you want. So, maybe I'll put one over here too. With a little cluster. There. I think that'll do it. So lily pads. I think there's a few lily pads floating down around here, not there. So let's go ahead and get our green. Did you get all your lily pads in? Perfect. All right, green. Let's start with our shrubs and our vegetation. So again, zigzags. There we go. Bump, 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 curve, curve, curve. Go ahead and add some green around the edges of your paper. I'll give you a few minutes while you're doing that. Perfect. And remember, you can stop the video anytime if I'm going too fast for you, and then just press play again after that. All right. With our green, we can go ahead and color in our alligator. I'm just going to color him lightly, and then I'll show you. I don't want to cover up all the brown texture that we put on there. So I'm going to show you how you can come back and add more and darken your green in some spots. So I'm just going to color lightly over this, you see? Perfect. There you go. I'll give you a little bit of time to go ahead and color in that alligator. They're probably a little bit more brown than they are green, but we, again, are just using our imagination and learning how to draw bird's eye view alligators. So, I mean, we could do them any color we want if we're just having, you know, fun. So, there we go. Got it? Perfect. So I'm going to show you how I would add like a little bit of detail or drama to the alligator's scaly skin, his reptile skin. I might do it a little bit darker around my edges, and I could even come back and add more texture in green to my alligator. Like that, you see. Maybe I'll do it a little bit darker around his eyes, a little bit darker around the end of his snout. You know, there's really no wrong answers, and this is just, if this is your first time drawing an alligator, then you'll be able to practice after this, and you can always add things to this picture, right? You could build this alligator by cutting out construction paper or a cardboard box, or you could build an alligator just like this out of clay. I mean, there's lots of options. We're just going to keep it simple for today so that everybody can do it. All right, are you ready to go ahead and color in your lily pads? Again, let's just do it lightly. We don't want to lose all the blue we made. We can always come back and add a little bit of detail to our lily pads as well, right? By maybe darkening some of the edges. Like this, look. We'll darken some of the edges. I know we're using a lot of green and a lot of brown, but we're going to add more color to our picture in just a minute, I promise. See? Look at that. It's starting to look good, huh? There we go. How's that? How's yours coming out? Looks good to me. Look at this big alligator down here. You see, he doesn't look like he's smiling. He doesn't really have an expression on his face like maybe a puppy dog or something like that would, right? They kind of look angry all the time, but you know, that's okay. It's just the way they are. Okay, perfect. Did you need to add anything else? We are going to go ahead and add some native plants, native to Louisiana plants to our artwork, and we're going to do that in just a minute. Go ahead and grab your purple crayon. Here we go. Look, here's one, purple crayon. We'll get all set to go. Are we all set to draw some flowers in our swamp? All right, got your purple? Here we go. We're going to go ahead and add some purple irises to our swamp. Purple iris is the Louisiana state wildflower, not to be confused with the Louisiana flower, which is the magnolia. So we're going to draw irises in our swamp. Irises also come in lots of colors: blues, reds, yellows, purple, and we can add those colors in our swamp as well. The iris is in the shape of a familiar Louisiana symbol, which is called the fleur-de-lis. And the fleur-de-lis means a lily flower. It may come as no surprise that it is the emblem found all over the state of Louisiana. It comes from the French culture. People use this fleur-de-lis to as decoration. A lot of artists in New Orleans use the fleur-de-lis as an inspiration for their paintings, and also our New Orleans Saints have the fleur-de-lis on their helmet. So it's a pretty popular symbol used here all over Louisiana, and it looks a lot like a purple iris. So let's go ahead and draw. Here we go. I do my irises very simple. We do like 3 ovals, almost like bunny ears, and then one on the top. But we all know a bunny doesn't have 3 ears. So here we go. Ready? An oval that goes down, down, and one that goes up. See? Look. Here's a purple iris. Here's a purple iris. Here's a fleur-de-lis. There's all kinds of fleur-de-lis. And the fleur-de-lis come in tons of different shapes. And the irises come in tons of different shapes and colors as well. So, look. Here's a bouquet of purple irises. See? Some of them have rippled edges. Some of them are very flat edges. They're all very different. So, however yours come out on your painting or your picture is going to be just fine. Here we go. This one's kind of sideways. This one will be upside down. There's really, again, we've discussed, there's no wrong answers to this art project. I'm just teaching you how to draw a simple purple iris. And if you want to go farther and make your iris even more detailed, that is fine with me. I'm going to go ahead and add some blue ones, some pink ones. You can add yellow. You can't see yellow from there, so I won't add any of those. But if you want to, go right ahead. Watch. Oops, almost forgot one. Here we go. If you don't have enough stems, just go ahead and add some. Look, I'm running out of stems. There we go. You just add more. Here's some blue ones. You don't have to put irises on all the stems. We're going to add some other flowers to our swamp as well. I'll give you a few minutes to go ahead and do that. While you're doing that, we can talk about our next flower. The next flower that we're going to be adding to our painting, or I'm sorry, to our picture is going to be a cattail. Cattails are found all over in the swamp. They're found sometimes in ditches and on the edges of ponds. These cattails grow anywhere between 3 and 10 feet tall. Their leaves are long and pointy at the ends, and they come from the bottom and all the way up to the top. These are going to be our cattails over here. So you can see the greenery is really tall. These are very interesting flowers because they have no petals. These are petalless flowers. They actually look a lot like a corn dog. And they grow all over in these ditches, like I said. So, and what they do is they grow this is the flower. They grow this flower, and then as time goes on, they dry out. And if you were to crack the cattail open, inside is hundreds and hundreds of tiny little seeds, and they're very feathery, so, and very light, and so they catch in the wind, and they go to another ditch or another spot, and they just grow all over pretty rapidly. So that will be our next flower. So once you're done with all your irises, all your beautiful colored irises, we'll move on to our cattails. I'll give you a few more minutes. And don't hesitate to look up here at these fleur-de-lis, these irises. You can also add like another color to your iris, just like this one has yellow. You can add a little bit of yellow sticking out the sides if you'd like. I'll add some to mine. You can add some to yours. There we go. It's looking more and more bright. Okay, I'll give you a few seconds. While you're doing that, go ahead and look for your brown. We'll add some cattails. Again, if you don't have enough stems, you can use your green again to add more stems. We all set to go? All right, here we go. Here's some more stems, some more green. I can make some of them longer. And then you just go ahead and you put like a big oval in your cattail. Look. Doesn't matter how small or how big they are. See? Look at that. Our swamp is getting full. He's kind of camouflaged in that marshy water. So camouflage is just they're used for hiding. Like when you would go hunting or something, you'd wear something so you could blend in to your surroundings. So lots of animals use different techniques for camouflage. And an alligator, he kind of just stays partially submerged. He just blends into his environment. All right, I'll go ahead and give you a little minute to add some cattails. Okay. Another thing is we can go ahead and add some flowers to our lily pads. They're really easy. If you just do the letter U like this and a little V in there. Look, a letter U. See? And then a V. A letter U. And then a V. They can be any color. You can also put some pollen coming out the top if you'd like as well. Look. Like that. Okay? How's that? Perfect. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab your blue. We will add some ripples in the water as if our alligator is swimming and moving the water. The other thing you can add is if a little frog jumped off of the lily pad and it made that little splash where the water makes a little circle. You can do that. Look, it's kind of like a swirl. See, look. Where they've jumped off. Little wiggly waves. Makes it look like the wind is blowing or something has a splash, like maybe a fish or a bird made a little splash and a little ripple. Perfect. And let's see, go ahead and grab black. If you don't have black, that's okay. We're going to go ahead and add a few more details with our black. Here we go. Watch. I was going to make his eyes a little bit darker. Maybe his nostrils to make them stand out. A little bit on the edge. Oop, this is actually a dark purple. Seems to work just fine. So anything dark would be great. See how they have these deep eyes? And then his nostrils are at the end of his snout. Perfect. All right. You can do one last thing if you'd like. You don't have to. I have a crayon that I peeled all the paper off. And I was just going to pinch it like this on the side and rub a little bit of the water just around. It's okay if you get on if you go over your other things. It won't matter. I'm not pressing very hard. So you can just go around your edges like this and fill in your water. See? It's all good. Oh, and teeth. Look, little zigzags if you want. Okay. So, thank you so much for joining me while we draw a bird's eye view alligator in his natural habitat. You can go practice. You can add things to it. You can cut out construction paper and add little blades of grass. You can add some three-dimensional flowers, or again, you can build your alligator in a different format. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and enjoy the rest of your day. I hope everyone had a good time creating with me today. We'll be posting new lessons every day at 10 a.m. Standard Central Time for kindergarten, first, and second grade, each tied to an academic curriculum. Some lessons will be in visual arts, and some lessons will be in movement. So be sure to come back and make more art with us tomorrow. If you're interested in supporting programs like this, you can donate to the Acadiana Center for the Arts, the nonprofit who manages the PACE program, using the link in the description. Help keep our artists working, share videos, and keep making art.